is our weekly program, Talk to Obn, host Amambo Makasa. Today I'm joined by Dr. Tesfaye Bazabe, lead researcher at the Institute of Foreign Relations. We're going to talk about the current issues in the country, especially in particular what's going on in the northern parts of the country. Stay tuned. Sir, thank you for joining us. And to begin with, can you greet my audience and say something about yourself?
Thank you for having me.
Great. What is your take on the TPLF's war on Ethiopia and why TPLF would do this to the country?
It has been clear that TPLF's aim or objective is quite clear, that to take power, which has been taken by the Ethiopian legitimate government, and its big objective is to return the power and to impose its dictatorial regime that has been entertained for the last 27 years, and to lead the nation and to divide the nation. However, its basic aim is dividing the society into different ethnic groups and creating doubts and creating some hostilities among different ethnic groups, and do not want any kind of collision among the different Ethiopian ethnic groups, and to divide the nation and to lead the country, perhaps for a number of years. But unfortunately, this is not successful, and its primary aim is that it is an ego that comes from the mind of many of the TPLF leaders, and these leaders are just advocating a number of hostilities among Ethiopian nationalities, and just even sow the seeds of hate speech and hatred with many of the Ethiopian citizens. And this might, for them, let them just to take power and to lead the nation peacefully, but this is not quite true, and this is, I think, shows demise of the TPLF.
I see. From the very beginning, the Ethiopian government tried to, resolve the issue peacefully. There was even the elders are sent to Mekelle to, negotiate the government, the TPLF. And since then, the government has been trying a lot to peacefully, solve the problem in the northern part of the country. And now the government was expressing its readiness to talk with TPLF at any time, at any place, without any precondition. And though TPLF refused that, and what is your take on the government's initiative so as to solve the issues peacefully?
Thank you. I think it's quite clear that the government has made a number of endeavors in order to just solve the problem through negotiations, and a number of steps have just gone by the government, particularly some of the in-house peaceful means, and the government has also sent a number of delegations to Tigray, and even religious leaders and known personalities and officials, they went there, and they even tried to negotiate and tried to tell the TPLF officials regarding the value of peace and the value of unity. At least, I think 3 or 4 times a number of delegates have gone so far, but these TPLF leaders did not receive or did not welcome those delegates, and even do not accept their peaceful request. This is the government, how the government is going, and how the government is really ready to negotiate and to solve any kind of problems peacefully. Unfortunately, they are stubborn, and they do not want to even accept any peaceful conditions, and they prefer to start war. And that war, even as you just well know, as it is known, that they started, I think, in November 2020, even the Northern Command Force, they attacked in the midnight, and even their officials during that time, Mr. Secretary also disclosed that they attacked the military base as a thunder attack, and they also admitted that they have done that crime, but the international community may not accept that one, and they even scapegoating the government has started the war, blah blah issues. Therefore, they naturally believe in war. They naturally believe in conflict. They naturally believe in division, not in unity. But now we are just living in another era, and we are just going to democracy, and we do not want to solve our problems with conflict. We do not solve our problems with disagreement. Therefore, the peaceful window is opened widely. However, TPLF did not accept such kind of peaceful resolutions. Therefore, the government has repeatedly started this kind of initiatives for in-house negotiations, and even the negotiation goes outside of the country, and a number of actors are involving on the peaceful resolution, like the African Union and other actors are involved. And they said that we don't need the African Union, and there are other actors who should be involved, because they are just playing a kind of swinging a pendulum for a peace talk. And they said sometimes yes, sometimes no, and they are even taking a relief on the breeze and start even the war. So such a kind of, they need the war, and they want the country to be demolished and to even lag behind its development, political development, economical development, and whatever. This is their aim, you see. Their aim is not just to go together and to solve our problems with negotiations. A number of steps has been just coming through with the peaceful resolutions, like the national dialogue. The government has also established with the neutral national dialogue. Even they don't want to accept that one, and they are hesitant. But it is, the government has also made an election, and that is a legitimate election. They did illegitimate election without the recognition of the national electoral board, and they did that one, and they have their own de facto state, but that is illegitimate, and that is against the Ethiopian constitution. So TPLF is kind of, they are just going and they are acting like a chameleon act.
I see. Since you have raised about the attack on the Northern Command of the Ethiopian National Defense Force, and since you are a lead researcher and you know about the country's, national interest, and the National Defense Force is just a priority. It's just,
sure.
Attacking National Defense Force is just attacking, the interest of some countries coming to the Ethiopian national interest. And if there any country would, tolerate such heinous attack?
I don't think so. As far as I know, some countries, National Defense Force, it is, I think, unique. And Ethiopian National Defense Force is quite also unique. And it is, I think, respectful and responsible military we have. And we need to be proud of that. Because for the regional integration aspect, terrorism is one of an attack for West Africa, the Horn. Therefore, for AMISON, we are just also having our own military, and the UN sector, and for the Security Council, whatever. Therefore, it is the history of Ethiopian National Defense Force is quite unique, and it keeps the sovereignty of not only its own country, but also through the Horn in the other African countries, and even in history, even in Uganda, even for South Korea. We just previously, as we can just witness histories, our defense force also went for other countries' sovereign and even just contribute its own shares. Therefore, but our national defense force is attacked by its own ally, and it is, I think, absurd, and it is really disappointing, and it is also lose the cultural and social fabrics of the country, and also it even makes our country to be embarrassed. And this is what this TPLF is doing, and no country did this, no country. And even they didn't believe that one, but they were calculating what are the steps that we need to even delegitimate, and we need to even deteriorate the nation's stand. And I think even this kind of devilish act was even committed, and the government has known that it is on mighty against them. There was a unilateral ceasefire even. That was another step. Through the unilateral ceasefire, the government has stopped, and there is a cessation of hostilities happened there. And the government is also retreating and giving to the Tigrayan farmers or agrarian society to plow their land and to use the summer season and to have their own economy and the blah blah issues. But such kind of real stories can be taken as a mantra and a rhetoric for the TPLF groups. But the government, Ethiopian government, has done and has been also doing a number of possibilities to solve the northern conflict peacefully and quite responsible. Its militaries, our defense force is also responsible, our government is responsible, and all the things that started from the 2020 till now are going with the rational, with going with the responsible matters.
I see. U.S. and Ethiopia, enjoyed long age relationship. You can say like diplomatic ties and other economic and other ties, and even we can say Ethiopia have had a great relation with the entire Western countries, and now there is some kind of pressure from the Western countries on the federal government, though the TPLF is responsible for the crisis taken place in the northern part of the country, and why they are pressurizing the federal government.
Yeah, sure. We have had, a very interesting relation with the US, and it is a half century of relations, and that is really quite smart and quite symbolic for our country. And since Ethiopia is a big country, just having its neighbors with small countries like Djibouti, like Somalia or Kenya or Eritrea, so far, as I have said, that for the last 50 years we have had a good relation with the US and its allies. And even the US is also helping and even supporting Ethiopians with economy and with investment and whatever. But for the last 27 and the 30 years, our US's foreign policy is quite different, and it becomes unique against Ethiopia. And it's also imposing their own ideology and against us, and they are also entertaining or exercising their national interest on us. But we are not like a country like that, and we need to keep our sovereignty. And the TPLF's, international advocacy is very, just disinforming and misinforming. And it, even for the last 3 decades, they have established, can I say, very good, relations, and they can even make some scholars or researchers and activists or what you call analysts as their friend, and they were not even just promoting Ethiopia. Rather, they are promoting only one region, and they are also promoting only one big force, that is the TPLF. This is what they have doing, and this is their rhetoric, and this is their mantra. They did it for the last 3 decades, and the Westerners just purely believes them without even checking and cross-checking and even getting a very reliable data from the entire society and the community. Therefore, they even, I think, misunderstand the situation and what the TPLF is doing, or they do not want to listen. Rather, they are supporting even the consequent. Some of even their speeches and their also tweets are also disclosing that they are even condemning the Ethiopian government and blatantly supporting the TPLF. That was really quite wrong, because they do not know the actual reality, what is done here in our country and what the government is doing and what TPLF is doing. You see? So there are a number of fabrications and there are a number of hoax news that the TPLF and its allies and its sympathizers are also dispatching with a number of media outlets. So such things are being taken as a very right and rational issues, but that is wrong. And the Ethiopian government, as well as its diplomats and some of its diplomatic missions, they tried to even show this is a reality, and they tried to even discuss the issues. Sometimes they understand it, but they have their own interest. As I have said, that they have their own, they want to impose their own ideology, and they wanted to even just see things outside of the box. But Ethiopia is a country that does not want to have any enemies, even through regional engagements. Ethiopia wants to become friends for its neighbors or its allies, whether the Westerners or whether the Easterners. Therefore, the Wests are even using a number of warning signals against our country, and they try to even stop AGOA, and they also, without any legitimate reason, they just cancelled Ethiopia to be even a member of AGOA. And also this is one of their steps they are doing, and they are also warning every day. We do this one, we do this one, we do this one, we do this one. This is wrong. They do not have any base, they do not have any ground. And they are also even amplifying the TPLF's hoax news, like that there is a genocide in Tigray and blah blah issues. They are doing, this is a pay-play, tactics that they are doing. And this TPLF is using the international media, is using, some of the senators in the US who are even advocating, and they are also, hiring a lobbyist firm. And this lobbyist firm is known as, for example, as Van Batten Montague. You can just go to its Twitter. And it is established, I think, 2019 or like that. And they hired this lobbyist group, and that lobbyist group is even struggling against Ethiopian sovereignty and against us, against Ethiopians, without reliable, without just valid reasons. Ethiopia is being cursed by the Westerners, but we are still even telling the Westerners, you are not right. This is the reality. What TPLF and what the Ethiopian legitimate government is doing is this one. So they don't want to listen. Sometimes they may listen, and timely they will be averted and they change it. So I think the Ethiopian government is also doing a number of jobs, and hopefully they may just believe the actual reality at the end of when all things are just completed.
I see, just as a lead researcher and as a person who knows a lot about this foreign relation issue, and what do you suggest? I mean, what has to be there so as to strengthen the ties with the Western countries and so as to tell the international community the realities on the ground?
I think our diplomatic mission has not yet stopped. We are going on that one. I think the government is doing a number of issues, and even the Westerners or the Americans and other allies do not want to lose Ethiopia also, because they know that Ethiopia is a big country. Even they know that. They know our history, they know our work, and they know why we are important, and they know that our importance, and we know that even what we are going to do, but they are just condemning with hoax and fake news, using their own international media and the lobbyist groups and other actors. But we need to even strengthen, and we need to hammer it. We need to be patient, and it is a struggle even. And it is a struggle, and through our diplomatic missions and our allies also just supporting us to know how it is a reality. And now, as you just know that, even if we are in the war, our government, particularly the joint forces, are doing very excellent work. Just because TPLF wants to come and take the Arat Kilo throne and to become a king, but that was not successful. That was unsuccessful. You see, it is their mission is that one. When they retreat and when they are just fought back by our army, they always roar. This is their habitual action. They are saying that, please, both parties need to make an agreement, blah, blah issues. When TPLF is being punished by our force, they are saying this one. This is a drama. But they know that how much Ethiopians are more powerful with enemies. TPLF is, a savior enemy for the country. It is our domestic enemy with other allies. Therefore, we need to even tell them that what atrocities that TPLF has been doing for the last 3 years, for the last 3 decades, and also it's doing now, and how much things are being dramatized and things are being, just camouflaged and just reached to them. Therefore, we need to even strongly talk all or show all the matters plainly to those, international communities. And we need to even use our diaspora groups to tell the reality to them, and they need to just come to the right track and understand what we are doing, I think. Therefore, our diplomatic, struggle, or our diplomatic, mission needs to be successful with long-ranging and with accurate data and also information to them. If they are misinformed, they need to take this is the right one, and you should do this one, and you had better just make Ethiopia to be your ally forever, like what you did in the last 50 years. We do that one.
I see. Having, geopolitical as a background, and geographical location of the country as a background, and other important issues, and how the peace in Ethiopia would affect the peace in the Horn region.
Yeah, it's good. As you know, that the Horn in East Africa is very important geopolitical aspects for politically, and you know that even geographically and politically, even it can be even a gateway for the Middle East even. And as you know that there is a multipolarity now. There is no unipolar actor here in the world, and we are living in the multipolar system. And emerging countries like the United Arab Emirates, Turkey, and also the other China, blah blah. These countries are also strong, and they even need trade route, and the Red Sea coast is there also. And even there is regional agreement. There is also regional security issues, and for that regional security issues, Ethiopia is premier in just for the peacekeeping through the Horn Africa, and also sending its troops for defending Al-Shabaab as a terrorist, and this is particularly important. And there are also countries who have got their own independence, just before a decade, like South Sudan and Eritrea becoming a country. And these issues and the region's volatility even matters. Therefore, if TPLF is becoming even stronger and stronger, it may even ally with that of the other terrorist groups and even make it come stronger. It has own even leader, and make even the Horn in the East Africa to become a more volatile and country or a region which is peace is almost nil. Therefore, this is the geopolitics, and countries around this one are also occupied with some of the Islamic and Christian religious aspects. So we can see even politically, geographically, religiously, and other issues. So the region is quite sensitive, and the Westerns are also sensitive with even their own international, even military base. Even they want it, and so the global order is also changing, and when the global order is changing, its spillover effect is coming also to the region. So this is what I want to say.
Mm-hmm. Ethiopia was playing an anchor role in keeping the peace in the Horn region.
Sure.
And, what expect from the neighboring countries in the Horn region so as to stand by Ethiopia and so as to realize peace in the country and regional integration? Because just we can't realize regional integration if there is no peace.
Sure, very right. So there should be a regional integration. Should be like last time, if you see even in the Tana Forum, other different countries leaders are coming. That is also a big initiative. It is a recent phenomenon, I think, and despite it has been started so far, Ethiopian is taking an anchor on this role, and for their even to have a peaceful nation, this neighboring countries need to contribute a lot, because they are frustrating with that of this peaceful issue with terrorist attacks and others, and even a number of a number of crimes are being even committed within the border, with the international trade borders, and so on and so forth. So for such a thing, the security needs to be stronger, and Ethiopia should even take an alliance, and there is the regional integration should have been taken into a serious consideration. And all these countries need to be together, and as I said, AMISOM is also one part, and there should be an emphasis should be given to also IGAD. So IGAD is important for the Horn and for all aspects. To that extent, I think if these regions, particularly the Horn in East Africa, is more stronger and stronger, I think the Western allies are becoming more also. Actually, they don't want that one. Even if it's this point, they don't want that one to become stronger. I think if IGAD is stronger, and if AMISOM is also stronger in what you have said, and this one, I think Ethiopia can be peaceful. But we need to do our assignment domestically. Our in-house problems need to be solved, and these territorial and border issues might be resolved soon after.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. As you know, African solution to African problems is one of the agenda of Pan-Africanism. And the Pan-Africanism is aimed at creating a united Africa which benefits Africans. And now we are witnessing some unwanted interference in some countries, and even they are even trying to intervene in Ethiopia's internal affairs. And what has to be there so as to resist that?
Actually, Ethiopian government and we Ethiopians also believe that African problems should be by Africans, and we do not even need another actor to solve our own in-house problem. This should be just understood boldly, I think, and the government also understands that one. We can even invite, if you need, other actors. But what we need to be is that if there is a stronger Africa is coming, all of its problems can be even solved by itself. But other actors do not need that one. They need a country which is submissive. They need a country which is subordinate to them. They need a country which is even dependent. They need a country which is always yes, boss, yes, sir. But it's not about colonialism. But such a thing, even for countries which were colonized by the Westerners, now, it may not be accepted. You see? So, despite we have a domestic problem, our domestic problems should be solved by our domestic groups or teams or entities. This is, the rights and responsibility of the government to invite even African negotiators for our domestic problems. But what the Westerns are doing is that we need to just give you, a spoon for your food, and you have to use that spoon to have your lunch or dinner like that. But we don't accept that one. Because what is the importance of AU? What is the importance of IGAD? What is this one? You see? So they don't need even any kind of establishment of unions and any establishment of organizations that unites Africans. They wanted a divided Africa, particularly they wanted even a divided Ethiopia. They may just give if Tigray is becoming a country which is a sovereign country, because they need smaller countries, almost more than 100 million people we have. We are almost over 100 million. So Tigray may constitute 6 million people. So they want to give. They prefer. Because Ethiopia is surrounded by smaller countries, like this one, you see? So these smaller countries, they can even manipulate as they wish and as they want. If Tigray is becoming a smaller country, they are always sympathizer and they are always roaring, why you are doing this one, doing this one, doing this one. This is not a humanitarian even support for that one, rather a country which is bigger, a country which is even legitimate and sovereign, they don't need this one. But what is important for Africa in general and what is important for Ethiopia is that resolving the problems domestically and resolving the African problem with Africans, and no need of even inviting other actors to even give, to become a chair or to become a secretary and to resolve our own problems. So this is wrong, I think.
Mm-hmm. Since you have raised about humanitarian issue and the human right issue, and the human right issue just we can say it's just a world law, and every country in the world apply and respect that human rights law, and humanitarian laws also has to be respected. And we have seen when Western countries take this humanitarian issue and the human rights violation as a card to interfere in some countries. And here in our country, the Ethiopian government has been delivering humanitarian assistance to the people in the Tigray regime. And at the same time, the TPLF was looting humanitarian assistance from the people in need in that region. And what is your take on that, and why they kept silent on this side?
Humanitarian matters has its own even mission actually, and the government is quite clear on that parent and on that pattern, and it's too transparent even. And there is a humanitarian truce that is allowed, but TPLF violated and even reinstated its war against the Ethiopian force and against the Ethiopian National Defense Force, or what you call the unit force. There is a humanitarian truce. They even know that. And even recently, around 750 million liters of fuel is being looted. Even the chief of the WFP also even condemned the TPLF act, but what they didn't. And TPLF is also mocking. They mocking and they said that we have not looted, rather we have taken the fuel that we have already just lent to the WFP. Means that they scratch, you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. So this is even two coins of two sides of the same coin. They are doing that one. But what the government is doing that now, even this is a recent phenomenon, all the corridors are being opened. I think the routes are also opened. Either airspace is also opened, and also even through even the road is also opened, and it is a responsibility of the Ethiopian government to even support the Tigrayan people. But TPLF is roaring, and they are saying that it's genocide, genocide, genocide. Where is the genocide? Where is the evidence? What is the meaning of genocide? How irresponsible defense force just committed genocide? It is totally untrue. This is totally wrong condemnation and false accusation of the government. But the humanitarian aspect, when the humanitarian access corridor is opened, it is that the TPLF rebel groups are also blocking the road, and they even shout against the government, and they even cry, and their diaspora groups also just show some kind of dramatic parade on the streets, and also make some kind of wrong demonstrations against the Ethiopian government. But the Westerners also receiving that one and amplifying that issue and becoming an echo for the TPLF rebels. Nothing is on the ground. But what is on the ground is that what TPLF did, for example, in Maikadra, what did, in Obbo, what did, in other Afar regions, what did. You see, that may not even, take a water for the Westerners. They simply humanitarian. We don't know what does humanitarian means. If all human beings are equal, the humanitarian concern should just goes to all the Amhara people, to the Afar people, to all the Ethiopian people. It never goes that one. Plus, even the Ethiopian government did nothing. The Ethiopian National Defense Force is also making, and now they are even practicing, they are exercising and opening some of the routes, as we have seen that. In Shire, even the airspace, they do that one. And the people and Tigrayan people are also even getting that, even the humanitarian access, and even the government is also welcoming. If you want to just come through me, why you are just connecting with the TPLF, the terrorist group? If you want to give the humanitarian access, come to me. If you want just to take a humanitarian accusation, just show us an evidence. But they don't have any evidence. So this is their indirect, this is unholy marriage of the humanitarian actors with that of the TPLF groups.
I see. Excellency, you made a vivid explanation, I think, for joining us, and maybe if you have something to add, you are welcome.
Thank you very much. Again, this is what I have.
Thank you, Excellency.
Thank you.
All right. Dear viewers, this is all we have for today. I hope you have got a great points from our discussions. Thank you for being with us.